Have you ever heard of reincarnation, when people are reborn after death? Today we will discuss interesting and real stories when children remembered their past lives. Story 1. The Boy with a Dream of a Plane. A true story about a boy who lived in an ordinary Russian town. His name was Sasha, and he always dreamt of flying. When he saw planes in the sky, his eyes lit up, and he often told his parents that he had flown once. His parents were puzzled because they had never traveled with him. One day, when Sasha was only 5 years old, his parents noticed that he was constantly drawing planes and talking about their models, which he claimed to have piloted himself. When asked how he knew this, little Sasha replied that he had once been a pilot who served during the war. To confirm his words, the boy described specific details, combat missions, friends, and even the plane he piloted. Sasha said his name was Victor, and he always flew over his hometown. At first, his parents did not believe him and laughed it off, but after several stories, they decided to check this information online. They began searching for information about wartime pilots and stumbled upon the name Victor, which was mentioned in books and on websites about pilot heroism. All the details the boy described closely matched those found online. This coincidence greatly astonished Sasha's parents. After that, his family shared this story on Facebook, and it spread across the internet. Story 2. The Boy Scientist from India. From an early age, Arun showed an interest in nature and various experiments. He often told his parents that he was a scientist working on discoveries that changed the world. His parents perceived this as childish fantasy and did not pay it much attention. When Arun turned 5, he began describing his past research on stars and planets, sharing information about space, and even mentioning various scientific facts that his parents did not know. He often spoke about how his name was Liam and how he traveled around the world conducting experiments. His parents were in shock at all the words and facts coming from such a small child. They shared this information with an acquaintance who suggested they look up and verify this information online. They were astonished to learn about a real scientist named Liam who worked on many discoveries. This event became a significant milestone for the whole family. Story 3. The Girl from the Theater. The next story is about little Olivia, who was passionate about theater at the age of 4. She often put on home plays and claimed that she had once been a famous actress. Olivia constantly repeated that her name was Kaylee and that she performed on big stages where crowds of audiences applauded her. Her parents, on one hand, found amusement in listening to their daughter's stories, but on the other hand, realized that the girl actually knew some special acting techniques that such a small child shouldn't know. When Olivia once again wanted to go see a play, her parents decided to show her the theaters where a well-known actress named Kaylee had once performed. When they arrived, the child recognized the building and said she had been there before. She effortlessly identified all the spots on stage that reminded her of her past life. This left a deep impression on all family members. Story 4. The Boy Volleyball Player. Little Steve from California loved sports since childhood. His first experience with volleyball started in a park, where he was happy to barely hold the ball when he had just turned 3. When Steve turned 6, he began to talk about how he had once been a volleyball player named Alex. Steve shared his memories of training and even how he once scored the decisive point in an important tournament. He described his feelings during the game in great detail and even mentioned his team members, naming them. His parents initially thought it was just a child's fantasy. But after his numerous stories, they decided to verify this information. While researching archives of old sports news, they indeed found a mention of a volleyball player named Alex who played in the same district. His friends from the past, whom he talked about, were still alive. His parents decided to contact them to share this shocking situation. It turned out that Alex had died 3 days before Steve was born. This story became the most discussed topic in the district. Subscribe to be the first to learn about the most terrifying and real stories.